Boom. Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is Dwayne.
And David.
And we're just two best friends talking about the show we love, Survivor. And tonight we are recording live on our website. You can watch us at stwdd.com. You can watch and chat. What's cool about that is they have their own, they just sit there and have conversations while they're watching us. And then they don't catch everything, so they still have to go download the audio, which is great, you know, on iTunes. So, but we're discussing episode 2 of Survivor Worlds Apart. Good episode, wasn't it, David?
It was good in different ways.
David, ways, yeah. I'm sorry, but before we can move forward in our friendship, much less this show, I mean...
Is this going to be anything at all like last week?
Just look. Until you acknowledge the sinful pride that you have in beating me in last week's Miko's challenge, I just need you to acknowledge you steamroll progress in our friendship, David.
Well, I did get the title again this week.
Are you acknowledging this, David? I need you to acknowledge.
Well, when we try to build things, and I have an idea that I think is better than yours, I've got to go with it. We're gonna miss this, Dwayne. We're gonna miss these start of the show conversations because our source is gone.
I know. Where is Vince when you need him?
He's on the beach answering calls. Apparently, he took all of his exit interviews from the beach.
You know, though, it's a good thing they got rid of him because he was going to beat all of them.
He was going to take them all out.
He was going to take them all out.
The show was going to end next week. He was going to take everybody out.
Every single one of them were going to be gone. Because so anyway, we are recording live on our website STWDD, Survivor Talk with D&D, and I'm monitoring Twitter. So if you watch us live and you hashtag STWDD, it will show up on my feed, and I will say what it is. For example, here's one by Mr. Ashton Myers. Will made a dumb move by flipping to Joe. As much as I hated Vince and wanted him gone, he could have controlled the tribe with majority. Now he's number 4. Ugh, he ticked off Joe, Nina, Jen, and Hallie because they were supposed to split votes. As much as I love Nina... Oh, he already said that. No, as much as I love Nina, it was dumb of her to tell Will that Vince thought his health was getting in the way of the challenges. Now, we're going to talk about all that later, but that is an example of what happens when you hashtag STWDD. So do that. Right?
Your acting skills are improving because I went through about 5 things in my head. Is my microphone right? Am I shaking the camera again? What am I doing when you start talking about? We need to talk, David, before we get started. What am I doing wrong this week?
I got you. We host 2 bloggers, y'all, Shayna and Alex. Again, on our website, they'll probably Alex usually has his up a little bit quicker or sooner, I should say, than Shayna does, but they're both up there. In fact, last week's got a lot of hits. There's a lot of people reading those, so make sure you go check out our 2 blogs on our website. And the last thing before we get to the show is, well, there's 2 more things. Movie Talk with D&D is coming up, but our T-shirts are only on sale for less than a week. All right, $12 for guys, and there's 6 different colors. $14 if you're a woman and you want one of those women's fitted tees, right? They're $14. They come in 4 sizes. But go out there now because next Tuesday they will not be on sale anymore. So go out there. You can go on our website, stwdd.com. On the right, you'll see pictures of the shirts. Just click on one of those. It'll take you there. And remember, if you're a patron of Survivor Talk with D&D, even if it's as little as $1 a month, there's a link on our patron Facebook group where you can get yours for $2 off. So become a patron. But even if you're not a patron, get a Survivor Talk T-shirt. They're really awesome. David, we promised everyone we would announce the first movie for our new podcast, Movie Talk with D&D. Are you there, David? David? David is frozen. I see David no more. So I am going to continue on without David. So we're going to do a new podcast called Movie Talk with D&D, and we are going to be taking over the Shooting the Breeze feed. And let's see, Power Surge. Oh, David just had a power surge, so he'll be back in just a minute. Our first movie. Well, gosh, I hate to tell you this without David. Oh, here's David. Our first movie on our podcast, Movie Talk with D&D, is, drumroll. No, you can't hear that. I got it. Drumroll.
There you go.
Die Hard with Bruce Willis.
I love that movie.
I know. Well, we're going to talk about it in about 2.5 weeks. Towards the end of March, our first episode of Movie Talk with D&D will be Die Hard, and our special guest for that episode will be none other than Will the Giant Ninja.
Yeah, we've talked to him about things with legal precedents, and he's going to bill us unless we have him on the show.
Yeah.
So we should probably get that over with.
Yeah, all I did was say, hey, can I use the name? He answers us, and then he goes, that'll be $200, please.
He answers with like 90% of the sentence. That'll be $200. ...
Yeah. To hear the rest of my answer. And I'm like, we need a few more patrons if we're going to pay $200 per question, Will the Giant Ninja. All right. Initial thoughts, Worlds Apart, Episode 2. Okay, I left this episode thinking to myself, I wish David had his overlay up. That's what I left the episode thinking. But also what I thought was, what a great episode. I love how they edited it, right? We spend time with this caller, and this caller. Then we have a commercial. Then this caller, and then this caller, and then the challenge. And then we get tribal count. I just liked it. Plus, I liked everything that they did with the tribes during those first parts of the show. I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the way CBS edited it.
Yeah, I also wrote down editing because there really wasn't much for us to get from the tribes. I mean, you can pull something out of most any conversation, but for the most part, between blue collar and white collar, it was just kind of funny and just kind of the experience. And that's what we joke about before. We want to see the feed, the behind the scenes that shows us what's life like on the beach.
Right.
You know, we don't always want to see. We do want to see the fighting. We do want to see the planning, but we want to see what else they're doing. And it was a lot of beach time. But at the same time, I was thinking, because this season Davis is really into the challenges. He wants to have a challenge birthday party.
Uh-huh.
And I told him, I said, go get your shower, bud. Get out here about 10 after 8, and you'll probably see the first challenge. No challenge. You know, we didn't get a challenge till almost 8:30. We only had one challenge this week.
Well, yeah.
And I'm thinking, I was really enjoying all the segments we were getting. I'm like, I'm kind of glad we only had one challenge this week because it really would have killed probably 3 segments that we got, if not more.
Oh, yeah,
so it was really good. I'm glad we only had. I love 2 challenges, but I'm glad we only had one again because of 3 tribes.
Yeah. Another initial thought, Dan backs up the big talk at the challenge. Way to go, Dan.
No kidding.
Applause.
Has Probst ever responded so surprised? Really? Kelly?
Yeah.
The in-shape state trooper? Oh, I'm sorry. I probably shouldn't have said that. Really?
He's like, wow, we already had donuts over here for Dan. We thought for sure it was Dan.
And it must have been obvious because Dan reacted right away. It seemed like Probst looked right at Dan and says, really? You're more like a manatee and you're going to get in this challenge?
Dan the manatee.
Oh, I feel a parody coming on. But anyway.
All right. One comment to change the game. One comment to find him. One comment to change his mind. And in the alliance, bind him. That's another one of my initial thoughts.
Very nice.
Yes. And then no. Oh, I had this guy tell me today on the phone, and we were talking, and he goes, I got this new Blu-ray player, and I thought, I got to get a movie that has lots of great special effects. So he just went and grabbed one of the Lord of the Rings. Just happened to be the 3rd one.
Yeah.
He's watching it, and he goes, what in the world is this movie? It's like, dude, you got to watch the first 2.
Yeah, he probably saw that Return of the King and said, oh, this will be a good movie.
Yeah.
What's he returning from?
Yeah. All right, my last initial thought, Kelly, the undercover police officer, is doing a great job of being an undercover Survivor player. Yeah, I haven't seen her at all.
Is she still undercover as a police officer?
I don't know. Yeah. She's there. She's there to make sure everybody behaves or something.
And wasn't that a extra scene on EW or something?
Yeah, she was on an extra scene.
Her poor thing, her big confessional wasn't even on the show.
I know. She's like, I'm getting to know everybody. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And I was like, oh, you're on the show. Hi, Kelly.
Yeah, there's Kelly.
She's the one I thought was going to be like a Tony, be all in everything, which maybe she is, and they're just not showing us.
Or she might not have found the idol yet. So.
Yeah. So those are all my initial thoughts. How about you, David? Do you have any?
I wrote one. I had a lot of thoughts about it, but they were too long. So I wrote one that Survivor is not about being yourself. It's about fitting in. And both Vince and Mike had bouts of being themselves too much.
What are you talking about? You're just a lazy bum.
I mean, come on, man. Can he not sense that he's poking him the whole time he's there? I mean, I know we're only seeing what they want us to see, but it really seems like he's doing 24/7.
I know.
And I'll be honest with you, it drives people. I guess one of my pet peeves is people that can't sit still. People that have to do things all the time.
I know.
Oh gosh.
I see. They don't particularly bother me as long as they don't expect me to do what they're doing.
As long as I'm not in their plan.
Yeah, it's like, look, I'm going to do what I need to do. Just because you're working doesn't mean I have to be working at this exact moment. Especially if there's a makeshift basketball goal. Take a few seconds and play basketball.
It's almost an anti-position that he's taking. I'm like, Mike, you're my pick, man. You're not doing yourselves any favors.
He's really not doing himself any favors.
It's only 5 foot high. We need more wood. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. Get your butts up and get water.
I feel pretty confident that if they were down to 3 logs, they would all go out and get more logs.
I know.
But next week, Rodney throws the log through the pile and destroys all the wood so it doesn't burn its ashes.
He's like, you want kindling? I'll give you kindling.
Stand in front of the pile.
All right.
And then Vince being himself too much, to me, it was Vince being Vince. He was being honest with people. He was sharing his true thoughts about Will. He doomed himself, and I know we're going to talk about it later, but
yes.
Nina did not go back to Will by herself. She suggested to Vince that she talk to Will about his health, and Vince agreed. Said, yeah. So we're going to talk about that, but so don't just jump on the Nina bandwagon. But anyway, yes, I'm talking about people online. They're talking about Nina made a big mistake by going to Will. I'm like, she didn't go by herself. She was endorsed.
What did you say? What was that? What? Oh, okay. I heard you.
You're ridiculous. You're ridiculous. Did you hear that?
What? I'm sorry.
That's another thing. You're gonna explain that part to me. But anyway,
all right.
Don't say what again.
Previously on. Did you take any notes on previously on?
Yes, I wrote no collar, harmony. Blue collar, Dan doesn't belong. White collar, all bosses, no employees.
Wait, it ain't just Dan doesn't belong. It's, quote, the only thing that didn't work was Dan's personality. I mean, there it was.
Yep.
That and I'm sorry, I've never heard him called mantis before, but his Speedo-looking underwear.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but
They called him something hammock and all kinds of things.
Yeah, now that I've heard.
Yeah.
That I've heard. I just wrote red collar. Basically, they showed us the Vince versus Joe stuff, and white collar, they showed that they still don't have any fire. We're the smartest. Someone made a good point, and I don't remember where I read this. It may have been on our Facebook group.
It probably was.
Of all people, Max should know how to make a fire, right? I mean, right. Max, I know you listen. Come on, you've been preparing for this show for 15, 20 years, or however many years it's been on. 15 years, I guess. Come on. If Joe can make a fire, Max can make a fire.
Do you think that's Max not trying to show up too much? Trying to hold back?
So David's suggesting that Max purposely isn't making a fire. I know why he's not making a fire. Would you want to make a fire if you were naked? That's just a little too risky.
Oh, boy.
Well, that's not the kindling. All right. And Joaquin's ally goes home.
Yes.
That's all I got. All right, so we start with day 4, and we're going to do the blue collar, and boy, do we get the idea that they have crabs. Well, crabs everywhere.
So I didn't realize it at first, but those little bitty crabs, I think they were trying to run back to the ocean, but they saw Dan. And then they were running back. Oh, he went under. They ran out again. No, he came back up. No, they ran back out of the ocean again. I titled this whole segment "Manatees Return to the Sea."
Yes.
So because, like I saw it on Facebook, you've probably heard, if you listened to us for a while, you've heard our manatee story.
I
Or
have
Dwayne
no
and
idea.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
When Dwayne and his family were at my house years ago,
David,
we kicked the kids out of the pool and had manatee time, which is just Dwayne and I floating around in the pool with nobody messing with us, nobody obstructing our path. We just floated in the pool. So,
with bathing suits on.
Yes, with bathing suits, full length, upper knee to waist bathing suits. And Mike, that's called a waist. I don't know what he thought he was.
That was hilarious.
I know.
I'm not really sure where he's putting that belt.
That belt that he's putting around that I guess it's a waist still. I felt that was hilarious.
I think don't you know Dan called Mike tonight last night. He just gave him a hard time about that.
But
we used to have
funny.
manatee time.
Yes, and that's what I was picturing when he was saying mantis. I knew what he was saying, but I was thinking manatee. And of course, Dan's kind of built like us, and I'm sure he floats in the water as well as we do. And that was hilarious. I could just see him coming up saying, "Uh-oh," because there is no raw dog in jeans. So,
oh man,
I cannot imagine. I would have been still swimming. He probably looked for him for a while, but I'd have still been swimming looking for those things.
I know. What's funny is they're all sitting there eating, and they're like waiting on him. So you know he'd been there for a while.
Yeah.
You know?
What are you doing? The crabs are going to be gone.
It probably took him 10 minutes just to figure out how in the world am I going to make shirt and underwear. And it looked like a baby with saggy diapers. I'm sorry, Dan, but you gave me so much laughing today last
like
night.
A diaper that got cut on the bottom.
Yeah.
A breakaway diaper.
Okay, let's assume he put his legs in the armholes, all right?
Right.
That's not even where I was going, but what I'm thinking is I don't want to wear that shirt anymore. I don't even want to wear the shirt anymore.
Sierra says, "So you don't have a shirt anymore," and he's like, "What do you think?"
No, he goes, "Not for my back."
Yeah.
But anyway, so he tells the whole story, and then there's also a scene on CBS.com on the videos where he explains exactly what happened, and he really did lose.
Yeah.
His underwear. It was not what Lindsay was thinking, that he might have been doing some kind of ploy. He really did lose them.
But they wanted to remind us that Lindsay is still not falling for Dan, trying to get back into the group. Instead of being Mr. Annoying, now he wants to be Mr. Funny. This, that, and the other. So, and the reason we're spending so much time on this is because we forgot to cover the Mannies last week. So,
well, now we know the only reason in this world why they would have shown them last week.
That's right, because we never got a glimpse of them this week, thank goodness.
Right, because don't you know, the editor was going, "Do we have to show these?" No, yeah, next week he loses them. Okay.
Oh, that explains the scene. Okay.
Yes. And I love the whole Lindsay and Sierra sitting there. Lindsay's like, "Is this real?" "Yeah, wake me up, please."
And then he walks past, and they get the real view to show that it is real.
Man. Oh, so that's Blue Collar.
Thank you,
Dan,
Blue Collar.
you better get over here, Dan. I'm going to eat all your crabs.
I hope Mike's around for a while. All right. White Collar. Tyler was, way too close to that fireman. I was thinking a pinner moment any second. Not a pinner moment, a scooping moment any second.
Yeah.
He started that fire, and he didn't move away, and the people around him were getting nervous. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he was right on it.
Right inside there.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. So, let's see. Oh, Max wants to swim.
So he gets permission. He asked everybody, "Do you mind if I go take a swim?" And I don't see any problem with that. But
Well, he wants to make sure everybody knows. Attention, I am about to disrobe. I'm going to go swimming in the buff.
and the real players know exactly. Well, the new and improved Richard Hatch,
Mm.
and then Hatch 2.0. And
Yeah.
I love what Shireen said to Tyler. "What do you plan to do for the rest of the day?" Tyler goes, "Not look at that."
That's right. That's right. Now I like how Tyler says how much is for show and how much is to distract from how well he knows the game. So honestly, I think Max is doing this for a couple of reasons. Now, granted, I'm not Max. I don't know for sure, but I think he's doing it because he knows he's going to get screen time. He's also going to know that it's going to be like a Hatch moment. I mean, Hatch made a lot of waves doing that and really made a name for himself doing that. And this is a way for Max to get his name out there too, right? Mm-hmm. And it also throws the rest of the tribe off just a little bit.
Right.
You know, and I think Tyler's smart enough to know that. Tyler's saying, this isn't just a throwback to Hatch. There's some strategy going on here.
So what are they doing, or what are they not doing if they're sitting there talking about Max out in the water with no clothes? They're not talking strategy.
That's right.
They're talking about Max. So, but like you said, I wrote down that same thing about Tyler's confessional.
Yeah.
One act, that this is Max. He's got a bit of a no collar streak in him. It's what he was saying. So it's neat to hear that from somebody other than who I thought was going to be the smart confessional players of the game.
Right. Well, Max did inspire Shireen because Shireen can relate to guys like this.
But he's surprised that she's washing dishes like this.
I'm very surprised that she's washing.
Max goes, I don't even think they're washing dishes like this at the no collar tribe.
I'm sorry, but I'm thinking naked is for when you're in the water, not when you're out of the water, leaning over, squatting, doing all these things while you're washing the dishes. And poor Tyler and Joaquin are like, oh boy, yeah, this pot, sure, do that pot.
So I'm picturing Tyler and Joaquin as they're covering their face. And Joaquin says, I got too much pride to do that. And Tyler says, at least somebody's got pride on this tribe.
That's right.
But they're saying, okay, we're just going to walk away. And the cameraman goes, hold on. Let me get the camera ready for the next shot. Just stay right there. Hold your pose for a second. And they're like, no, we don't want to look anymore. And he's like, just hold on. This is good. And he's still filming him. Well, they don't think he's filming, but he's actually still filming because they are the most uncomfortable. And they are fully clothed. Long sleeve shirts buttoned up to the neck, standing in front of Shireen.
It's called overcompensating, David.
Just a little bit.
Called overcompensating. Okay, so I have a question, David.
Okay.
Who's the lucky cameraman that gets this tribe? Meanwhile, back at the red camp, that cameraman is a happy guy, and they meet up later that night, and it ain't good.
Yeah, but the other guy's got the blue camp. Dan's over there, so
yeah. So the no-collar cameraman's going, oh yeah, this is why you bring Jeff orange juice in the morning, so you get the good tribe.
It was funny. Tyler was like Mike. He couldn't even finish his sentence, trying to tell Shireen what Max was doing with the other pot. And he's bringing it back. That's all he got out.
There was a CBS moment on YouTube. CBS uploads videos on YouTube, and I was watching them, and I heard Tyler, and Tyler was saying that Shireen was like, "What's the big deal? Y'all have seen all this before," and Tyler's like, "No. I haven't seen that before. Not that one. I'm married. That's the one I've seen before." So anyway, let's get to no collar. Now,
I was a little confused at this editing. So
okay.
Maybe you can make it clear for me, because what I got out of this segment was 4 or 5 situations where Nina couldn't hear.
Uh-huh.
And nobody was insulting her or being rude to her. They were trying to talk to her, but she just wasn't hearing. And I thought in a certain area she could hear one-to-one. It's when multiple people started talking she couldn't hear. Right. I mean, Will was standing right behind her, asking her if there was a crab still in the pole, and she wasn't hearing it. Right. So to me, that was setting up the moment of it's a little frustrating being with Nina because she can't hear you right beside her unless she's turned around facing you, which can be a little frustrating. Right. I mean, we got like 4 or 5 seasons of that. So,
well, that, and we also got Haley making an effort, and Haley even saying, "I've been trying to get to know her."
Right.
But it's hard because you try to talk to her and you can't have the conversation. And granted, I mean, what's Haley? 22 years old or something?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a 22-year-old making great friends with a 54-year-old in the first place isn't the easiest thing. So Haley's already reaching out, and it's just difficult.
And
So
she's playing the game. But then we get Haley and Jen talking very loudly in front of what appeared to be in front of the camp.
yes,
We want to go swimming, and we want to go swimming now.
Yeah.
So we're going to go swimming. And the editing, of course, showed Nina with her head down, and as they're walking away, she lifts her head and starts to feel bad. I mean, who were we supposed to feel bad for in the first segments, and who are we supposed to feel bad for now? It's like it was a mixed bag thing, where Will would have said, well, they were just saying in front of all of us that they're going swimming. Did you want to go? And she just completely took it as they're excluding me. They don't want me. They're not making any effort. When we saw the few shots of them talking to her and trying to talk to her,
Right.
and she just didn't hear them.
right. But then we do get confessionals from them that it is frustrating for them
Yes.
because after a while it is hard to hear and stuff like that.
Right.
By the way, with the whole swimming thing, I didn't hear we're going swimming like, hey, me and Jen are going swimming. I heard I want to go skinny dipping, and I heard Haley say I want to go skinny dipping. Let's go swimming, skinny dipping, which meant in my eyes that meant anybody else want to go? We're going.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, it made it seem like an open invitation to
Yeah,
anybody that could do
exactly. It was an open invitation. So anyway, and the cameraman was texting the other guy, boom.
it. Win-win.
But then again, I also feel for Nina. All right, because if I'm Nina and I'm having a hard time hearing you, yeah, I'm self-conscious about having to say what all the time.
Yeah.
Because even though she gets upset that it happens, you still know that it does get a little old after a while for the other people, and so you feel bad for them as the person that's having to say it all the time. So she doesn't want to say it all the time.
Right.
She's in a tough spot. So.
She is, and it's almost like somebody that's going to have to put the extra effort in for Nina to do well in this game. It's either going to have to be Nina or the people that she works with.
Right.
And it just seems like it's wearing thin on day 4.
Yeah.
So.
Now, I do think Nina made a mistake, and a lot of people do this. Sorry, I'm away from the mic. And a lot of people do this. Instead of having a productive conversation with Jen and Hallie, she starts off with a sarcastic remark. Well, thanks for inviting me.
Right.
That does not foster a good conversation. Plus, it was in front of everybody. If you really want to talk to them about it, ask them one-on-one. Say, hey, I really wish you would have asked me to go swimming with y'all. Automatically, it's confrontational, and it's not going to, you know how it is when you come home and you go, well, thanks for making dinner.
Yeah.
In other words, you didn't make dinner. Why didn't you make dinner?
Right.
That doesn't go well. There's no napping later on when you do that. What are you doing? Because you're not.
I'm trying to get my chat wing back up.
Oh.
Follow up, folks, because they're having a good conversation over there.
Yeah, but they're not asking us anything. Tell them if they want to ask us something, do it on Twitter. Because you can't follow their whole conversation.
No.
So if they need to ask us something, just put it on Twitter.
Yeah.
Hashtag STWDD. So anyway, that was my thought.
It was uncomfortable, but at the same time, I think we got to see Will's greatest strength in the game.
Yes.
Is being a friend. And
I got to comfort her.
Yes. And that's what he seemed to do. He seems to have the ability to talk to everybody, and he seems to be friends with most everybody. So that seems to be his game, and hopefully that'll take him far, because he's going to need it next week.
Yeah. All right, so let's go. It's now day 5, one more day.
Yeah.
We're going to start with blue collar. And Mike, I think you're making a game mistake right here. And any chance of you winning, unless you get this taken care of, which previews for next episode doesn't look like it, is not good. He seems like the kind of guy who has to be working and thinks that you, therefore, must also be working, or he gets very mad.
Yes.
That doesn't go.
This is like a fatal mistake in Survivor. You've got to go with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
If everybody stopped and be a part of it. Don't separate yourself by doing something and then being upset about it.
Yeah.
Fake it. Act. Do something different. This is where Mike is being himself. I'm just one of those guys that sees something done, I got to get it done. Well, you can't be that way in Survivor all the time.
Right.
Even Dan was trying to be a part of it, and he tried to pull Dan and says, "Well, I can't. Wait a second. Let Sierra shoot first, and then I'll
Right.
come."
Right. I'm surprised Mike didn't go, okay, I'll play basketball, go slam it and break it. Oh,
Hey,
oh,
firewood.
hey, we got firewood.
That's right.
Yeah, Mike's the kind of guy, he wakes up at 5. Okay, we have 12 hours, but let's get it all done in the next 3.
Because then we got a challenge. Because when we come back from that, we're going to want to do it again.
That's right. So, but the basketball, man, what a great idea. It makes you wonder why more of them don't do that.
And we got a lot of confessional from Rodney in that segment.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, Mike's making Rodney look good. Oh, David must have had another power surge because he looks like he's about to sneeze. I know y'all can't see it, but it's kind of funny. But anyway, so yeah, we get a lot more of Rodney because this is a way for Rodney to bond with the rest of the tribe because Mike is making himself kind of this outcast just a little bit. So we do have that. And so what I wrote was, dude, play some basketball. Take a break, play some basketball, compromise a little bit. Rodney says, I may not bring back as much firewood, but I don't start nothing with nobody. And that is such a valid point because you may not be working your butt off at camp, but you're not starting battles and you're not starting fights. And if you're not starting battles and you're not starting fights, then there's not a target on your back. And so Rodney's doing the right thing. And hopefully Mike can turn things around. But, man, next week doesn't look like it. So,
no, it doesn't.
Glad to have you back, David.
It's good to be back.
Yeah. Let's talk about no collar. David, do you mind taking over no collar for a second while I take off this hoodie? I'm burning up in here.
Absolutely.
All right, go for it.
Joe doesn't come back with blue crabs because comes back with a bag of crabs, and Joe looks even better. Super Joe. He can't do anything wrong. And Vince is starting. I hope this isn't real Vince, but Vince starts to share that his work is not being recognized. But Joe's is, and he doesn't understand it because he feels like he does more work than anyone around camp.
You talking about Vince?
Talking about Vince, yeah. He just doesn't understand why people aren't recognizing him like he isn't Joe. So, I mean, could it be because Joe's younger, or they're more attracted to Joe, or I don't know.
I think he's just the kind of guy that likes to get credit when he does stuff,
Yeah.
And granted, if you're already feeling a little jealous of somebody, which, the whole Jen and Joe thing didn't make him feel too good.
Right.
Right? If you're already feeling that way, and then that guy's getting all the attention from the 2 really cute girls in the tribe, the 2 girls you think are really cute, then yeah, you're going to be thinking, man, I'm getting crabs too. Look, Mom.
Yeah, exactly. And not just cute, but I mean, you've got Nina who's having trouble hearing people, not getting along in that sense. You've got Will who you don't feel is healthy enough to be out there. And then you got 2 healthy young people who are following the other healthy person. Like, I should be one of you healthy people. Why aren't I in that tight clique instead of you 3? Right. I should be in there.
Right.
So
now, this whole I need your acknowledgement conversation.
Yeah.
Besides being awkward for Joe, is this something you do in front of others or not?
That's the biggest problem I had. That to me was Vince's downfall, that he did it in front of everybody, because you can't do that in front of everybody like that. You're calling out somebody. You're almost trying to embarrass somebody. You're trying to say, he wanted Joe to say that Vince is better than Joe in front of everybody else. That's what I felt like.
Okay.
He wanted to be the alpha, and he wanted to be called that in front of everybody. I don't know. It's kind of like being a bully and going up to somebody and saying, do you want to fight me? Well, then say you don't want to fight me, but saying that in front of everybody, so everybody thinks they think you're better than them.
Right. Yeah. I thought it was a bad idea. I mean, I don't mind him saying what he said to him. I just think he should have done it in private. And then Joe could have said, I don't really. Well, Joe actually did the right thing. Said what Vince needed to hear.
Exactly.
And then went on. So.
No, I don't have a problem either with Vince saying that or going up to Joe to clear the air, because I'm all about clearing the air, especially in Survivor. Mm-hmm. But I just don't think he should have done it in front of people.
Yeah.
I agree with you there.
I'm sorry, Vince, but you're on an island with people for 4 days. Now we're on the 5th day. You're not going to be getting these 10-second long, loving embraces from people yet. You don't know them well enough.
This is where Survivor is not life.
Yeah.
You got to be different. And this is where I was hoping that he would be the laid-back guy that just supports the tribe.
Right.
I mean, it's those alphas that get themselves in trouble by wanting to be alphas.
Yeah.
And let the game come to you. Let the position come to you. Don't necessarily go take it, because all you're doing is making a mark on yourself.
Right. Right. All right. So then we get to white collar. Oh wait, no white collar. Sorry. You know why, don't you?
Why?
The cameramen were on strike. They came back from day 4 and went, "What? No, we're not going back."
Yeah.
All right.
But before they left there, I wrote down that Nina and Vince bond over the fact that the 3 kids are slighting them. You know, Vince feels slighted that the girls aren't recognizing him, or Joe's not recognizing him. Nina feels left out by him, and it's like them bonding is actually taking Vince further away from them, because he's spending more time with Nina. So.
Yeah. Well, what was I going to say? Oh, what is interesting is Vince is like, what, 30, 32?
30. Yeah, 31, 32.
He's not the old guy.
Yeah. He says that later on. He says, I know Joe's a young guy, and I'm now 31 or 32, but I used to be that young guy. I'm like, you're still young.
Yeah.
You're not as old as Nina, or old as Will, or old as Dan. You're still young, but.
Yep. All right, let's get to the immunity reward challenge. And they all have their bathing suits. Day 6, so they must have gotten their bathing suits.
Yep.
And all of them.
Did you start the challenge like this for Dan, waiting to see what he was going to be wearing? Yay, you got a bathing suit. Okay.
Oh, before we go, we have a Twitter remark from Kathy Trantham. Dwaine paying an homage to Max and Shireen. Clothing removal? No, Kathy. That's the hoodie. There's a shirt. There is a shirt underneath it. So.
Thank goodness.
Yes. No, don't just thank goodness. You can really thank God on that one. You really can. So all of them have to do the buoys, not just one of them. I love that. Right?
Yes, I did too.
All of them have to do the buoys. And the first 2 tribes, this is what Probe says, first 2 tribes win immunity and reward. So there's not a winner, and there's 2 winners and a loser.
Right.
Right. And they're playing for fishing gear, and of course immunity. And what a great! I don't know. I love this. There's so much involved in this challenge that I really liked it. I like they have to dive in the water. I like they have to do the whole buoy thing and jump over. I love them doing the maze thing in the middle and having to get up on the dock and then having to shoot. I just love the whole challenge. It was a great challenge to me.
Somebody posted the first few seconds of it, where I think it showed the first leg, on our Facebook page this week, and I saw it and I thought, wow, what a grueling challenge to have to swim and work through all those ropes and mazes. It was really good. I liked it.
Yeah. Now I think where Vince got in trouble was he allowed the rope to get slack.
You mean Will?
No, Vince.
Oh, Vince?
He allowed the rope to get slack there at the end. He allowed it to get slack in front of the rope. Right? He should have been holding the buoy and pulled all the rope through it while he was swimming, so that when he got to the dock, there was nothing left. But what happens is he gets to the dock and there's all this rope down there, and then he can't get it through and it gets all tangled up and everything.
Right. So it's like he pulled the rope with him.
Right.
He's pushing the buoy. Yeah, definitely want to pull the rope instead of push the buoy.
Right. So way to go, Dan. I'm gonna surprise you for a fat guy. And he did. He got there first.
He sure did.
I tell you what, don't you know that was a proud moment for him?
Yeah, until Mike yelled at him. But yeah, that was a good moment.
What did Mike yell at him?
When Sierra was coming up to the dock, he goes, Dan, get up and help her up.
Yeah. Dan's like, what? I'm sorry, I was having a siesta.
I was having a heart attack over here on the deck. Did you see me? I made first place. Get
up. Oh, man, that was great. So Nina also sits out, but that's obvious because she has the cochlear implants. So that's obvious.
Well, she said she had something to protect it in water, but I figured she'd sit out anyway.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, man, I was waiting for somebody to get hurt jumping over that top thing. Trying to go a little bit too fast and getting your leg caught or something.
Yeah.
But didn't happen.
Nope.
It was really good. By the time Will got finished, Okay, first of all, I think did Will get lapped by Shireen or almost?
He got passed, and
Oh
then the
my
next person
gosh.
came up. Yeah.
I mean, the whole Joe and Will bouncing on the dock, cheering each other on didn't work.
Nope, not at
Will
all.
was, oh man, Will was out of it.
He was good till he got past the halfway point of that gate.
Yeah.
Then, I think, but they kept showing him looking around, and the more
Yeah.
he looked, the more panicked he got, and it
Yeah.
just didn't help him. And then I think every time he looked around, it's like he lost the direction the buoy was going on the rope.
I think you're
And
right.
I think that's what really messed him up, and he just panicked.
Yeah. And then when he gets up on there, they're like, "You gotta touch the pole." He finally touches the pole.
Yep.
All right, so White Collar's the first to shoot baskets, and Joaquin kills it. White Collar just totally destroyed. I mean,
Apparently, he's on the office basketball team. Joaquin is.
apparently, and apparently no one else except for Sierra can shoot baskets. Because really, by the time No Collar starts shooting, Blue Collar still had no shots.
Right.
So, I mean, it's hard to argue that Will lost it for them.
Oh,
Because
you mean when no collar? Sorry, yeah.
by the time No Collar starts shooting, Blue Collar had no baskets.
Right.
So it's hard to say that Will was the cause of their loss because they started off the same and they got all of theirs before they got any.
Right.
So I don't know that they would have won even if Will had done well.
Do you think at all that the reason we saw that basketball scene wasn't just about Mike, but it was about how Blue Collar was going to win this challenge?
Well, it could be. And do you think maybe they got some kind of...
Sierra threw an air ball at the shelter, but she's the one that made all the balls in the basket.
Right. Do you think maybe it was one of those clues and they got it a day early or something and it said, basketball is my favorite sport. I love the way they dribble up and down the court.
I'd like to think that, but I don't think they do it a day early, though. They usually do it right
Yeah.
before they go.
So they just decided to play basketball at camp. But what a great idea. I know we're going back to that, but I don't know why other tribes haven't thought of this. Make yourself games for the camp life.
Well, the Beauty Tribe bowled, so yeah, keep your mind distracted. Do some things fun, but do them together, so you're not doing it by yourself. But yeah, do things that have fun.
Go look for like a long, like a vine and make a circle out of it or whatever, and get coconuts, and then make a game of getting the coconut in the hole, stuff like that.
Or go find a tree with some odd holes in it and look for little sacks that have little necklaces in them. Do that too.
Well, yeah, but that's not a game you want to play with anybody.
Why is nobody from White Collar and Blue Collar finding these idols?
I don't know.
I'm sorry, White Collar did find it. Blue Collar and No Collar. All these fans and no idols.
Yeah. Well, they didn't get. Let's see. White Collar didn't get a clue.
Neither did Carolyn.
Neither did Carolyn. So.
She has her idol. Again.
Wait, no.
Episode.
I mean, neither did Blue Collar. Blue Collar also didn't get a clue.
But they know there was a clue available.
Right.
So, and the only clue Carolyn got was it's likely in a tree.
Yeah.
So anyway.
All right. So anything else about the immunity challenge?
I just wrote down a few names like Haley and Jen, Sierra, Joaquin, Dan, and Rodney came through the challenge really well, physically. In 20 days when they're doing individual challenges, it could be a little bit different. But right now, they really are, especially Haley, man, she really impressed.
Yeah.
She flew over and just blew through that whole challenge.
Right. All right. Well, good. Let's get on to back at camp. No Collar, day 6. And this is, I got to tell you, Joe and Jennifer and Haley, it looks like they got pretty lucky.
Joe and Jen and Haley got lucky. Why did they get lucky?
Because neither one of them went home. Their little plan of let's divide the votes.
Yeah, they got. You're exactly right. They got very lucky because everything they did didn't help them, but it didn't hurt them. They got lucky that it worked in their favor that somebody else did the work for them.
Yeah, I mean,
I
really,
agree with
the
you.
tribal council ended up completely in Will's hands.
Mm-hmm.
And whether or not he made the right choice is certainly up for debate. But, I mean, Joe, for someone not being as confident that Will was in his camp, they sure did put a lot of trust in Joe. In Will.
Yeah, I get you. I get where you're going because you're exactly right. That's to split votes like that and to offer it up to somebody that you've seen talking to the other side.
Yeah.
That's very risky.
Because what Jen says at tribal council, I just want us to do the original plan. So they didn't even change their plan. You know. So and we see at Tribal Council, they were actually surprised that Will voted for Vince.
Yeah.
You know, they were like, "What? You didn't vote for Nina? I thought we were going to split the votes." So
Right.
I know we're skipping ahead, but that kind of puts Will out there on his own.
It does, and I threw out on our Facebook group, I was asking people yes or no, did Will make the right decision? And things could change with a shuffle or a merge or something like that coming up, but most of the people said no, he made the wrong decision. He should have stayed with Vince and Nina and blindsided Jen.
Yeah, it's interesting because this tribe doesn't really have a main four. Like White Collar has Carolyn, Shireen, Max, and Tyler.
Right.
Pretty much a tight four. And Blue Collar has Sierra, Rodney, Lindsay, and probably Kelly.
Right.
And what's further making that strong is Dan is apparently annoying everybody, and Mike is apparently mad at everybody.
Yeah.
But then on the No Collar tribe, you don't really have that. You have 3 and 3, and then a comic gets thrown out and throws Will into a tailspin, and But
it's funny. You're looking for somebody to flip. One of the people of the 3 needs to flip from one side or the other, but it's I didn't expect it to be Will. I mean, I guess I could see it being Will because of his social skills, but I thought it was going to be Vince. I thought he was just going to see the strength in those 3 and be the one that flips. But this was bad alliance work. That he talks to Nina, and I like having personal one-on-ones, but to talk about, I mean, it's okay to talk about Will's health, to question it, to wonder about it, and but this is also a good time to blindside somebody. I'm like, how are you going to blindside somebody? You don't have the numbers. You're still only 3 and 3, so I'm not sure how he's going to do that. But then Nina says, I think I'm going to go talk to Will about his health. I mean, do you want me to go talk to Will about his health? And Vince agrees.
yes.
Okay, you're in an alliance of 3 against another alliance of 3, and you're going to go question one of those alliance mates' health and status in the game, as in you're questioning, will they be any good a week from now, or will they even survive the game? You're going to put doubt in their head about your faith in them.
Okay, but see, I don't think that's what Vince was trying to get her to do. She kind of offered, do you want me to check on him? And, I think he's assuming that she's going to do it in a way that doesn't make him look like he thinks that he's going to die. You know what I'm saying?
I completely agree. I don't think Vince sent her with that to get the outcome that obviously happened. But at the same time, I wouldn't let somebody else have that conversation for me.
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, I would have wanted to have. If I'm that concerned about it, then for one, I probably wouldn't have said anything. I wouldn't want to question somebody that I want to keep loyal to me.
Yeah.
Because you saw how it affected him.
Nina, man. Well, Vince kind of thinks, you blew it.
Yeah, he's kind of worried about you in challenges.
We're like, what? Me? Yeah. I didn't blow it.
Exactly. Right after Will tells her, guess what? It's not you. We're going to blindside one of them. I got the whole scoop.
Man, I mean, they had it made, David.
I mean,
they had it made.
Yeah. This shows Will's social skills. That Joe and Jen are asking Will, "What do you want to happen? What do you want to see happen?" And Jen's like, "Well, I want to cut the head off the snake." And I don't think they see Snake as in the leader and cut the head off, and somebody else. I think they see it as like the poison of the tribe. They see it as a person that just doesn't keep things harmonious. Yeah. So, but then like Joe had a good point. Keep it strong. We need to keep a strong tribe so we don't go back to tribal council.
Right.
So, but even if they did, there was Nina to vote off or there was Will to vote off. So they still could have. I mean, there was Nina to vote off, so they still could have done that.
Right.
And then like you said, Joe brings up the split vote plan, and Nina, and it says, I mean, Will talks about hanging around with Nina. And sure enough, he says, I don't want to vote her out. She's my friend. We got a lot in common. So why didn't Joe or Jen or Haley see how much Will was hanging around with Nina?
And then if they did, what is their choice? I mean, they can't really go to Nina.
No.
I mean, the only thing they can do is maybe go to Vince and try to get him to go along. But you're almost...
You're right. That was a really risky move for Joe to offer up to Will that we're going to do split votes. Put your faith in somebody's hands that's been with the other people.
Yeah. In fact, Joe says something that is kind of scary. He says you have to trust people. Joe. I'm waiting for this to show up on my stream, and it's not showing up. But Mike
has something to say on Twitter.
Uh-oh.
But I'm going to wait until it shows up on my stream so I can put it on the screen. It's not up there yet. Or don't go look.
No, I'm not. I'm looking at the chat wing.
All right, Tribal Council. Did Haley ever talk?
I think so.
Really? I don't remember her.
I didn't write down a lot of words from there because it was kind of rehashing. It wasn't as good a Tribal Council as last time.
Yeah. Well, Nina says Haley, Jen, and Joe are together, and then me and Will are together. And I'm like, well, what about Vince?
Yeah.
And Probst is like, so Vince, where are you? And Vince is like, I am cohesion.
Yes.
I am glue. That's where I am.
Feel my stickiness. You sense it? I am holding this tribe together.
Feel my stickiness.
Yes.
Okay. Jen is just like, I just can't believe I'm here and you're there. It's so awesome because it's like I'm watching you on TV and you're amazing. This is so cool. I'm not going home, and even if I am, who cares? Because I'm here. That's Jen.
She's gonna care in a minute, but yeah.
Yeah. That's Jen. All right. So Will broke the plan. He was supposed to vote for Nina to get a tie. He voted for Vince. I said this is probably not a good move because now nobody. I mean, now he's certainly not with Nina. And now he's not with the other three. He's a lone wolf.
See, I think he is with the other three, and I am supported by 2 lawyers on our Facebook group, Will and Cass. But I'm in the minority because the majority of our Facebook group feels it was a bad move. But here's the deal. Here's the deal.
What's the deal, David? He
goes with the split vote. Oh, excuse me. He goes with Vince and Nina and votes out Kelly. So he's 3 against 2, but he's got 2 people upset with him. Joe and Haley. He goes with the split vote, and they vote out Nina. He's got Vince upset with him, but he's still on a strong tribe, and if something goes wrong, they can still vote out Vince the next time. I still think he was fine because instead of keeping Vince and allowing him to work his magic to get the people to vote out Will, because Vince is going to go back and say, well, look, guys, if we lose again, it's going to be Will's fault. Will's got to go. But if he gets rid of Vince, he gets rid of the person that's aiming for him. That's got him like in the side of this is it's like the discard pile. I think he's already got Will in the discard pile, ready to let him go as soon as they lose a challenge.
Yeah.
But to me, Will goes back and says, "Look, guys, I know I did what I wasn't supposed to do, but he was coming after me, and I couldn't trust him. I didn't want to trust him around you guys. I just thought he was like Jen said, he was the snake in the tribe, and I just couldn't do it. And I'm sorry, but that's just what it is. I still think we're a strong tribe, and I think he's got a buffer because I think they'll still get rid of Nina before they get rid of Will, and I think there's going to be a shuffle before it gets too far.
Yeah.
If they lose another challenge, it'll be Nina, and then at that point, I think they'll mix up the tribes.
Yeah, I think they're going to mix up the tribes after episode. I think they'll do it during episode 5. That's what I think. I think 2 more vote outs. And
I think 4 people total gone. Yeah.
Yeah. So it never came up on my stream. but this is what Mike Holloway tweeted just now. Mm-hmm. Survivor Talk. Love Vince. Dude had game. Split vote? 4 question marks. More to that guy than meets the eye. Talking about Vince. And then he wrote, by the way, my voice does suck. That's a direct quote. I'm sorry. But that's him. Thank you, Mike. That means he's listening. Awesome.
I wanted Vince to stick around longer. I thought he could have done things. I just, but what he did got him in his own trouble.
Yeah, I would have liked. I think the dynamic would have been more fun if Nina was gone and Vince was still there. Although Vince was awfully low key. I mean, after his initial, the girl is mine episodes.
Mike also tweeted me. He said, David, can you tell that other guy to let you do most of the talking tonight? # Team Cholera. You got it, Mike.
Yes, Mike is on David's Survivor Fantasy game team, Team Cholera, the team of disease. Although you have 2 more people on your team than I do now. I've lost 2 people.
Something? And you know what's going to happen next week? I'm going to make a prediction this week, and I didn't just read it on my phone. Mike is going to save himself by finding the idol next week. That's my prediction for next week. And then I'll have 2 idols on Team Cholera.
What did Mike do? Direct message you or something?
I'm not saying.
Mike?
No, he tweeted me. You can, if you follow him on Twitter.
I do follow him on Twitter.
He tweeted me. That's all. He just.
Well, if he does a direct tweet to you, I don't see it.
Well, it wasn't a direct message or anything. He just tweeted me. But I'm just saying I think they were setting Mike. Now that we've seen this and we've seen the tease for next week, it just hit me like a rock that Mike is going to go out and he's probably going to stumble across the idol.
Yeah, he's going to be so mad.
Wood. He's pulling trees down and ripping branches down, kicking over roots and stumps. And all. What is this thing in my way?
What is this thing caught in between my toes?
Dan will say, pick it up, pick it up.
Somebody left a cookie on a string.
Wouldn't that be something if he's out there frustrated, ripping
He's
branches
going to
off?
go back to camp.
What is this?
Can I eat it? It's not a scorpion, but can I eat
it? All right, let's get to listener feedback. We have first Will the Giant Ninja. Hi, what's up, guys? It's Will from Wonder Lake again, a.k.a. the Giant Ninja. So we're going to be talking about Die Hard, huh? Nice. That gives everyone listening a reason to give a rewatch to one of the greatest movies of the past few decades. Seriously, guys, whether you're looking for a holiday classic, an action comedy, or even a date movie, Die Hard brings it. Dude, this isn't movie talk yet.
Yeah, but it's starting to scare me that it will be. So.
And I can't wait to talk about it with D&D in a couple of weeks. Good news, the Lady Ninja and the Little Ninjas will be out of town the weekend we're recording, so I can even pay attention to what's happening on the podcast. So for this week's feedback, I'm going to relate aspects of the episode to quotations from Die Hard. Bonus points to D&D if they can tell us where in the movie each quotation came from. All right.
Okay.
Number 1, come out to the coast. We'll get together, have a few laughs.
You want me to go first or you go first?
I haven't watched it.
This is where he's in the ventilation shaft because he's crawling through. He says, oh, come out to the coast. We'll have some laughs.
Yeah, I haven't watched the movie
I
in
guarantee you that's what it
15 years.
I haven't either,
By
but
the way,
I've seen it about 21 times. So
I can hear myself in your microphone.
Can you?
Yeah, you might want to turn your headphones down a little bit.
Okay.
Dear Max and Shireen, it's great that you're comfortable with your bodies. Seriously, good for you. And it's great that you're okay with folks seeing you naked because you're on Survivor. It's going to happen. But if you need to be naked in the water. Don't force your nakedness on other people. You're both in a great spot in the game. Don't give Tyler and Joaquin something to bond over, namely how uncomfortable you're making them. Don't ruin your game for the sake of your strange homage to Hatch. Number 2, hey, Sprechen Jatok. I don't know. Go ahead. Hurry up.
That's the coworker talking to
that's the real
Hans
jerk.
Gruber.
That's the jerk. Yeah. Dear Jen, part of the art of Survivor is communicating with everyone on their level, not expecting everyone to rise to yours. Sure, it's tough to have a conversation with Nina, but you can't respond to that difficulty by shutting her out. That's terrible social play. Be the player that reaches out to her, not the one that shuns her. It doesn't matter that you have the numbers, and she'll be gone soon. 1, because you might not have the numbers. You never really know how close you might be to going home. But 2, and more importantly, because the person with ties to everyone is the one most likely to get information from multiple sources, and information is the key.
And if somehow she makes it to the merge and makes the jury, you want her to be your friend on the jury.
Number 3, I was always kind of partial to Roy Rogers, actually. I really like those sequin shirts.
That's John McClane right before he gets ready to yippee-ki-yay.
Okay. Dear Dan, yippee-ki-yay, mama family.
Okay.
That's the version that
That's the kind of podcast that we do.
Dear Danimal, when the waves take your manties, you do what you gotta do. You fashion a diaper out of a shirt. You look ridiculous, but less ridiculous than Naked Max. Number 4, just a fly in the ointment, Hans, a monkey in the wrench.
I think that's the first time they talks to him because he wants to know who he is.
Right. Who are you? Just a fly in the ointment, Hans, a monkey in the wrench. Dear Mike, don't be the one guy in a group of 6 people doing something different. It doesn't matter whether you're right, and you were. If everyone else wants to play basketball, play freaking basketball. Don't be the odd man out. If you do, you'll find yourself on the short side of the numbers at Tribal Council, which bodes well for the man, Danimal.
Do you think he was really working 24/7?
No.
I don't either.
I just think they weren't working when he wanted them to work.
I think
Number
they're just
5.
trying to show him in trouble because next week when he finds that idol, he won't be in trouble.
That's right. Number 5, is Mike on your team? Of course.
Yes, he is.
Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho. That's John McClane after he gets
Oh,
a machine gun.
that's not a comment. That's on the sweatshirt, I think, where he kills one of the bad guys, and then he writes on the sweatshirt says,
Oh,
"Now
yeah,
I have a
yeah,
machine
yeah.
gun too."
Yeah.
But when Hans says it, he reads it and goes, "Ho, ho, ho."
Dear Danimal, rock
This
on,
movie is going to be
brother.
so much fun to talk about. Go ahead.
You are awesome in that challenge. I have a feeling I'm going to be sitting there listening to you and Will.
And
You
our
were
numbers will go up and up. I'm just kidding.
You were awesome in that challenge, and nobody saw it coming. From one bearded fat man to another, we're used to being underestimated. But I, for one, wasn't surprised at all to see you dominate that challenge. I knew you had it in you, and it was so much fun to watch. You know, during the audio podcast, I may put some love story music under this. I love that you went first, and I love, love, love that Probst had to throw in his "really" comment. Probst thinks that if you don't look like Colby, circa 12 years ago, you can't be great at challenges. He's wrong, Danimal, and it was great to see a big man prove it. Kudos, brother, kudos.
I love you reading it like a kid. Writing a fan letter. He was wrong, Dad. He was wrong.
Danimal, I love that you went first. Oh, I gotta stop it. He's a patron. He might stop. Number 6. Welcome to the party, pal.
That was after he threw the body out the window down to Al's police car because he was about to leave.
Dear Joaquin, way to bring it in that challenge. You brought your team from worst to first, which was huge because you might have been the next out. Now, even if the white collars do have to go back to tribal council, Max and Shireen might decide to keep you over Tyler. Based on a need to compete at the challenges, you did what you had to do. Number 7, when you're a rookie, they can teach you everything about being a cop, except how to live with a mistake. Oh, that's the donut eating guy.
That was Al talking back to John. Yep, the one time he pulled his gun.
Dear Joe, you really are the next Ozzy, huh? Your strategic acumen almost cost you your power alliance. There is a time and a place for vote splitting. It's one of the most underappreciated tactics in this game. But that time and place has to start with full and complete trust in your numbers alliance. If you're in a 6-person tribe and you only have 2 alliance mates that you fully trust, don't split the votes. Because that 4th guy who you admitted you weren't 100% on can and often will use the information to blindside your alliance. Joe, you're fun to watch, and you could go far in this game. But you need to pair up with someone who's better strategically, like Max or Shireen, and trust that person to make the decisions, because this one's almost cost you big time. Number 8. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Quit being part of the problem. That was Malcolm talking to the Coke guy.
No, that was McClane talking to the police chief.
Oh, yeah.
He said, put Al back on the radio.
Yeah. Dear Nina, you have cemented not only Vince's downfall, but your own as well. I understand what you were trying to do with your conversation with other Will, make him feel loved, show him that you care about him. But you really couldn't have done a worse job. You convinced him that Vince was out to get him, which was kind of true. Vince thought about going after other Will to keep the tribe strong. And you forced other Will right into the hands of Joe, Jen, and Hallie. Now you're 5th in a 5-person tribe. You're next out. You could have been part of the Power Alliance. Instead, you're an outsider. And we lose television gold in Vince. If you'd have just shut your mouth, Jen would have gone right now, and you'd be in the top 3. Instead, you said too much, and you're 5th out of 5. Now know when to talk, but also know when to shut up. Number 9. Only John can drive someone that crazy, and that's his wife.
That's his wife.
Dear Vince, you made an enemy out of Joe. You came on too strong with Jen. You plotted against other Will. You caused your own demise. You made everyone around you crazy. And it resulted in no tears shed when you were voted out, even though you getting 3 votes was only because other Will didn't stick to the plan. Good rule for survivor strategy. Get along with people. Be adaptable. Don't force others to adapt to you. And for the love of Pete, don't tell your tribe mate that you need him to acknowledge that he's being overbearing towards you. You don't need that. What you need is to suck it up and get along with people, or you'll go home. Number 10, would you like to go for Double Jeopardy, where the scores can really change?
That sounds like something McClane would say, but I'm not sure when he said it in the
He
movie.
was talking to Hans, but I don't remember
No.
what it was. I think Hans was
Oh,
trying to figure out. Oh no, I know what it was. He was like, "Are you a fireman?"
yeah, trying to figure out his
Yeah,
profession.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dear Otherwill, I liked your move. You're obviously fourth in an alliance of 4, but you have a buffer in Nina, who will be the next voted out. As long as the no-callers don't go to the next 2 tribal councils, you should make the swap. And it's better to have 3 people willing to trust you heading into a swap than to have only 2 people. Plus, Joe, Jen, and Hallie have a better shot at making new friends, which you're going to need, post-swap than Vince and Nina do. Good choice. I hope it doesn't cost you. Well, that's a good perspective right there.
I agree. I think his move bought him 3 days.
Yeah. Well, how about that? Who knew there was such an overlap between an episode of Survivor and an 80s action flick? I can't wait to see what happens next week. My personal prediction is that Nina is out if the no-callers lose. Mike is out if the blue-collars, yay for Danimal, he moved up a peg and should make the swap. And in a bit of a surprise, Tyler is out if it's the white-collars. That's it for now. Later, peeps. Will at the Giant Ninja.
Good
job. All right. Next, we have LB from Atlanta.
Hi, David and Dwaine. I've listened to Survivor Talk for a while and am a proud recent patron, but this is my first time sending in feedback. Honestly, last season it didn't feel like there was a whole lot to say about the crew. This season is shaping up to be such an improvement over San Juan del Sur. Overall, it is a relief to see players who are truly out there to play or at least make good television. I was going to say, if she was going to say make good decisions, that wasn't everybody this week. Good television? Yes, they are good television. I wasn't surprised to see Vince go early after last week's episode. While Nina or Will seem like more obvious choices, I'm grateful that we're not seeing either obvious first boots or a repeat of Metzing or the Brains tribe. It would be a rare treat to see a tribe shuffle and merge that were more strategy, less inevitable picking off of stragglers from a decimated tribe. The edit seems to be focusing on all 3 tribes as well, and with the exception of a couple of the folks on Blue Collar Tribe, I feel like I have at least a sense of all the players. I don't remember feeling that way this early on during previous seasons. I agree. I think they're doing a good job of getting everybody's info out there. This season is turning out a bit differently than I thought it would. So and Vince both seem like they would be sticking around longer. These first 2 boots are normally reserved for folks who are weak in the challenges, not folks who are deemed untrustworthy. That strategy seems to be more reserved for all-star seasons, such as when Tina, Rob, and Hatch went early, or Stephanie, Sari, and Tom on Heroes and Villains. Perhaps this is happening because this season has far more fans of the game and fewer actors. Folks need to lay off about folks in little or no clothing who may not be the most stereotypically model gorgeous. As fans,
By the way,
yes,
that's Mactors. It
all
means
actors.
Models/actors.
As fans, we have been clamoring for fewer folks who were recruited because of their ability to fill out a bikini and more for their ability to play the game, strategize, and have intriguing personalities. I agree. I don't have a problem with who's doing what and wearing what. I just like talking about it. So I'm grateful to see real people on this show again, and I hope the fans of the game will get to make it far this time instead of being foiled by too many newbies who don't make decisions based on improving their chances to win. I agree. I don't think any newbies are going to be taking over this season. How do y'all think this season is being affected by this shift to fans playing the game? LB in Atlanta.
Well, I think we've been talking about how we think this season's affected in a positive way.
It's like you said, LB. It's good television. It makes good television to watch people out there playing the game and talking about the game.
Yeah. All right, next we have Werner from South Africa. Hey guys, a warm welcome out of South Africa. I'm really excited about this season. 3 thoughts from my side. Number 1, is it the best move for Max to do this random naked thing? Why? It's only putting him on the radar, not under. Why make yourself the center of attention? And Max, when you're having your alone time in your birthday suit, everyone else is together and bonding. That is a very good point. In fact, we talk about that a lot, when people go off by themselves.
Right.
All right. Number 2, I like Joe. How weird was Vince's conversation with Joe? Joe, I need you to acknowledge you bulldoze all other people. Ha 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 ha. Joe was really playing it cool and flowing nicely in the confrontation. He showed some good skills there by not starting an unnecessary argument. And then he sent Vince parking. Is Joe maybe a dark horse here? Number 3, I noticed that although the no-collar tribe was in more than one weird conversation, and unnecessarily emotional at times, at least they seemed to communicate and express themselves. Blue collar, you have issues with communicating. Most of the blue collar tribe will find it difficult to handle the emotional and communication pressure that this game requires. They will end up shouting at people and burning bridges. I hope they can prove me wrong. Thanks for a great show, Werner. Thanks, Werner, from South Africa. All right, David. Andy from Cameron, Missouri.
As we like to call him, the commish of our Facebook Fantasy League.
Yes.
A couple of more controversial, questionable decisions in this week's episode seem to have been Nina telling Will about Vince's concerns and then Will voting for Vince. The general consensus seems to be that both decisions were foolish. As I enjoy playing devil's advocate, I am going to attempt to argue otherwise, i.e., I don't necessarily believe these arguments, but I feel they are arguments to be made.
Yeah, right. Sure, Andy. Sure you don't believe them.
I.e., this is going to be long. So, question number 1. Were Nina's comments dumb? The prevailing argument seems to be that if Nina says nothing, then Nina, Vince, Will would have voted together. As it played out in the votes, Jen would have been voted out, and these 3 would have been in control of the tribe. However, we must approach the decision based on what Nina knew, not what we know after the episode. Were you thinking at all that Jen was leaving? I actually was.
Well, yeah, because it was all precariously perched upon Will's chest.
And this was a great edit that made me think that. But as soon as he said that the next person voted out, second person voted out, I said no, because I thought it was Jen, and I didn't want her to see her stop playing it. I knew it would break her heart. And then it was Will, and I was still kind of no. But I really thought it was going to be Jen. So editing did a great job.
Yep.
The major assumption here was that these 3 were tight, talking about Nina, Will, and Vince, and thus Nina should have felt comfortable and thus didn't need to say anything to Will. However, this, I believe, is a faulty assumption for a few reasons. So here are reasons within question number 1. 1, because of her apparent weaknesses and challenges and her outburst regarding the skinny dipping incident, Nina rightfully felt that she had a large target on her back. Will also told her the other alliances planned to target her, which further emphasized this target. This justifiably raised her level of paranoia. 2, a successful vote depended 100% on Will. Was his information about the other alliance correct/honest? Were they actually going to follow through with the questionable plan to split the votes? To me, that sounds like a story someone would tell to make someone feel comfortable and is therefore suspect. Also, how much trust do you put in Will, who had been canoodling with the other alliance throughout the day? Though it seems unlikely to us that Will would vote for Nina, there were certainly plenty of reasons to question his loyalty, as I am sure that he too would like winning $1 million. Hardly a slam dunk. And number 3, the target is on Nina. The swing vote of Will seems questionable. What to do? What do? You take the Sandra route and you aim for anything but yourself. That's what Nina did, and it worked, at least in the short term. So as a recap, in hindsight, we see that her decision was foolish, as she probably could have said nothing and survived. However, based on the information she had, it seemed completely logical and even wise from a certain perspective. I give her a pass on this one. You're more generous than me, Andy. Just saying. Question number 2. Was Will's decision to vote for Vince dumb? This one may be a tough sell. Will had 3 main decisions that he could make in this situation. 1, vote with Nina and Vince and send Jen home. The pros of that, this puts Will in an alliance of 3 that would then be in control of the tribe. Tribe's strength and challenges is not considerably diminished, as it might be if Joe were voted out. And the cons of that, voting out Jen, is the alliance of 3 is only strong if Vince can be trusted. This was questionable based on Nina's comments. I agree. The second decision Will had to make, number 2, stick with Joe's plan and go for the 2-2-2 split, then vote out Nina as planned during the revote. The pros of that decision cements his loyalty and position within an alliance of 4, which could be particularly advantageous in the post-merge game. This makes the tribe stronger for the challenges. He's in a good position to vote for Vince's next vote and still have his revenge. The cons, Will seemed to like Nina, so the vote would be hard. Voting out Nina would make Will arguably the weakest challenge performer after his recent performance. Voting out Nina would make Will arguably the weakest challenge performer after his recent performance left on the tribe, thus putting that potential target on him. He misses out on his revenge desire. His third choice was to vote for Vince. Pros, the threat of sneaky Vince is gone. He's still in the Alliance of Four, even if his place is precarious. The Alliance seems to be one that may not get too upset, since he still voted against the other Alliance. That's a good point. The cons would be the tribe is likely weaker physically when losing Vince than losing Nina and maybe Jen. This can create loyalty questions amongst his new Alliance of Four and places him firmly in fourth place of the four.
You know,
Go ahead.
really, voting Vince out weakens your tribe. I don't know how smart of a move it was.
It does. What happens if the next challenge is like a running through the woods challenge and you got to pick up 6 and come back with them? You know,
That's right.
it could be that one where they do the blind calling where they're blindfolded and have to call out. So, I mean, it might not be Nina's problem. She might not be the weakest. So, I mean, you never know, but still, I still think he bought a buffer of 3 days, you know, because he wasn't going this time around. And that puts Nina as the next target.
Okay.
So, option 2 seems to be generally accepted as the wisest choice, and that was, I think, voting out Vince. And that is probably because it is the safest choice. There is little to no risk involved in this option. It's also hardly a resume builder, and this was a pretty easy time to build his resume as the one who blindsided Vince. It could come back to haunt him, but oh well. The wisdom in Will's decision, even though it was not the obviously safe choice, was in a few points. Number 1, in Survivor, when you have the chance to get someone out that you deem to be a threat, sometimes you just have to take it, as you don't know when you'll have that chance again. 2, as previously mentioned, he has the chance to build that winner's resume, even though I still don't think he'll get there. And 3, also, as previously mentioned, with this particular group, he very possibly was under the impression that they'd essentially be cool with it, and I think they will be. If that assumption proves to be true, he may be no worse off. See, that's a good point, because Joe was talking about keeping the tribe strong, and if they lose again, what's going to keep them strong? And that's keeping Will probably over Nina. So... So based on these arguments, go ahead.
But, okay, let's say that Will had gone with Vince. Or, I mean, forget it. I'm just thinking that Will has no allies right now. None.
I think he does.
Okay.
He's probably going to tell Nina he saved her, because had I done the split vote, you're safe. And then and then the other 3, he still voted with them to vote out Vince. He just didn't go with the one of the 2 he wanted.
But that's like California being in alliance with, you know, Rhode Island. You know, I mean, Rhode Island's really small. California's really big, and they're going against Texas. You know, California wants, you know, like Alaska, not Rhode Island.
It's going to come down to I think his strength so far has been being honest with people and being sociable with people, and I think he's going to have to go back and really sell that Vince was bad for the tribe. The things he was saying about you guys, I just didn't think he should still be in this game. You know, the way he was talking about y'all not trusting you, wanting to get rid of you. I mean, I voted with you, but this guy, I just didn't feel like was going to be best for our tribe.
All I have to say is, look, guys, I went in the woods, and he had all these little figurines sitting on, and he had them hanging, and he was doing things to them, and I thought, oh boy, this is a side of Vince we haven't seen. All right, go ahead, finish it up.
So based on these arguments, I am willing to say that this move seemed to be a calculated risk and perhaps somewhat questionable. However, there are clear benefits and a rational basis to it. So it's far from a dumb move. And a dumb move is one where you take a risk with a little chance of success or with minimal opportunity for a benefit. That's all for me, Andy from Cameron, Missouri.
Thank you, Andy. And another Missourian, Kathy from Missouri. As you guys know, I was abuzz this morning about episode 2. White collar, white collar, white collar. Max, Max, Max. Not knowing how to start a fire. Didn't you learn your survivor skills before the game, Mr. Fan, student and teacher of the game? And let's add Shireen, who no longer has an A+. I'm sorry, but how normal is it to walk around naked in front of near strangers or anybody? I'm just really confused, Max and Shireen. And Max, that display was not a nod to Hatch. It was a nod to yourself for getting airtime. Trying to sound like Kathy. Doesn't that sound like Kathy?
It does. It does. It really does.
I can see her head going back and forth. All right. Tyler's reactions, though, were priceless. Tyler is so growing on me. Blue collar. Dan, did he or didn't really lose his underwear? Well, according to Dan, he really did. I think Lindsay may be onto something. Mike. Social game, dude. Social game. Take a few minutes to play. No collar. Hallie and Jen. Hallie definitely is more compassionate of the two. I'm basing their lack of attention towards Nina as just being unaware and young. Neither were intentionally trying to be rude to her. My wife's comment was about Jen, that she's acting her age.
Yeah.
So Nina, she's a sweetie, but the hunger, no sleep, created heightened emotions and hypersensitivity. Hope you can rebound. Vince, oh my, is he a man of multiple contradictions? I was young once, too. I'm 32 now, and I feel like my hormones have chilled out now, where I can let a lot of that stuff slide, unquote. Oh, really? She says. Quote, but Joe is that center of attention kind of guy. I need acknowledgement. She says. To Joe, I just need you to acknowledge that you steamroll projects. She says, yes, like you, Vince, are steamrolling Joe. And finally, I wonder how Nina liked that 10-second embrace of beauty, bliss, and peace. Red eye, popping, teeth clenched emoticon here. Great episode. I know Vince was good TV, but I'm looking forward to getting to know some of the others. And thanks so much, David, for your help in explaining simple math to me today. Got that whiteboard handy? What was that about?
She was trying to figure out how the split vote was going to work or how they were going to control the vote or something like that.
Oh. Hugs to you both. Not a 10-second one, just a half-second one, and only from the side. Kathy.
So what does steamrolling of the project mean? Does that mean he blows through everybody else's thing, or he blows through it and builds it real fast? Because I can see Joe saying, yeah, I steamrolled the challenges, I steamrolled that puzzle, I did all that stuff quick and hard.
I think what Vince was saying was like, you weren't taking anything I said, you weren't using my advice, you only did what you thought. So you steamrolled the project. In other words, if I'm in a steamroller and you're in front of me, who's going to win?
This
Me.
is my plan. You just rolled over my plan.
Yes. Exactly. All right. We do not have a Miko's challenge tonight. I am very sad because that's very fun. But Miko is traveling. And we do not have our D&D Survivor Fantasy points yet, but we will post them on our internet page, stwdd.com, when we get them. All right? So we will be sure to do that. Anything else, David, before we close out the show?
Good episode. There wasn't as much drama as we got in episode 1, but we got, like our feedback said, good for TV people. Good editing. It was a really well edited episode. Man, it flew by.
Yeah.
I felt like we were at the challenge, and it was almost like this is almost over.
Yeah.
It just really went so fast.
And I feel like we got a good representation of the tribes, except maybe white collar. We didn't get a whole lot of them, although we got more of them than we wanted in some respects.
Yeah.
But still, we got a pretty good idea of the tribe dynamics that are going on right now, and I think we're set up for a good episode 3.
Yeah, it was kind of building to a no collar loss because it seemed like we were getting nothing negative at white collar, just Mike at blue collar, but a couple different things at red collar. Excuse me, no collar. So it just seemed like it was.
I say red collar a lot too.
So it was kind of building it, but it was still really good, and I was blindsided. I really thought Jim was going to go at that when those votes started coming out. So they did a really good job editing that.
Yeah, and I guess you noticed Prope saying. And the second person voted out of white collar, blue collar, no collar again. He did that again. Did you notice that?
Mm-mm. I sure didn't.
He did. I like your new beanie.
You like it?
I don't know what that is. It looks like an alien or something.
It's Deadpool.
What's that?
He's a Marvel character.
Oh, a comic book guy.
In fact, they're making a movie right now starring Ryan Reynolds.
No, they don't make movies out of comic books.
No?
No.
Well, in a future episode of Movie Talk with D&D, you're going to find out if they make them out of comic books.
All right, remember, y'all, less than probably the end of the month, the last week of March, we're going to be doing Movie Talk with D&D, and it'll be about Die Hard, so make sure you watch the movie before you listen to the podcast.
Got a little taste of it tonight.
Yeah, less than a week until the shirts are no longer for sale. In fact, get them before Tuesday. Just get your shirt this weekend, because after Monday, I think they're like through Tuesday morning or something like that. $12 for guys, $14 for girls that like the fitted shirts. So, I mean, I know plenty of women that buy the guys' shirts. So, but
my shirts are fitted no matter what they are.
Yeah. Yeah. I go for the nice snug look. Yeah. So, and again, thank you for our monthly patrons. That is a tremendous help, and you also get early information and lots of neat little tweaks and perks that we like to give our monthly patrons. Thank you very much. Thank you for shopping Amazon. Y'all, I got to be honest with you. I know we did that little commercial in the middle of the show, but our Amazon, only like 20 orders in the last 3 weeks or something. There's not a whole lot of Amazon action going on. So if you are using Amazon, please use our link. It's really simple. Don't have the stuff in your cart yet. Don't even have it in a wish list. Just know what you want and use our link to get to Amazon. And once you're there, don't leave and come back, and go ahead and do your order and really help us out by doing that. So I was going to mention something else. Do you know what it was, David?
You're probably going to say hi to Tina, who's in South Africa at 5:20 in the morning, listening and following our chat link group. Yeah, pretty awesome.
Tina?
Thanks, Tina.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So let's see. Anything else? Follow us on Twitter at Survivor_Talk. Join the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/SurvivorTalk. You can also join the Movie Talk Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/STWDD. And I think that's because Movie Talk was taken. I'm not sure. And
you meant MTWDD.
Yeah, MTWDD.
Yeah.
MTWDD.
Got to get used to that. And those will just be audio. They're not going to be on Hangouts or YouTube.
No videos, just audio. Sorry. David specifically requested that.
Will's in witness protection, so he can't be on video.
Yes, Will the Giant Ninja.
Yeah, he doesn't stand out or anything.
No. Look, Mom, there's a monster in the other end of the room. And he's doing drop kicks.
Every time a board gets broken, a ninja gets his wings.
Yeah. All right, so thanks for listening, everybody, and I think that's about all I got. So how about you, Dave?
I'm good.
All right, see you, everybody.
See ya.